Hello, friends. Welcome back to The Big Show. My name is Jimmy Smith, the host of the podcast. And The Big Show is where we talk about modern day issues like men's health, masculinity, the hard truth about dating, and overall life advice to help make your guys' life just a little bit easier. Today, we're going to talk to you about your heart. And no, I don't mean the literal one in your chest. What I'm referring to is the one that you offer up whenever you're out there on the dating market. So many of you guys know far too well what it feels like to reach a point in a relationship where you finally feel comfortable to let down your guard, offer up that heart, just to wonder if they really mean it when they tell you that I love you. So when you finally say those three magical words, man, it can be really uncomfortable. Will they say it in return? Are they going to feel the same? Do they even truly mean it whenever they tell you they love you as well? Well, here to help me unravel this dating mystery is a man who knows all too well what a broken heart feels like. The man behind pissedoffparent.com, Mr. Sci-Fi himself, and lover of all Voltron, my buddy Dwayne Ward.
What's up? Good evening, everybody.
Boy.
Can I derail us? I think this will be a record if I do it just right in 2.5 minutes in.
Go ahead.
I got this imagery of that 80s movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You must be talking about my sweet.
You're looking at that's a very that's I can feel the flames.
Watch out, baby.
Come off you there.
Let me tell you something. You don't know nothing about this. Woo, boy, I got it out of Taylor the other day. Ready to rock and roll. 52 long, tightened right around the waist. I'm looking fly. At least in my own world, I am. At least in my own world.
I thought I was looking at the spitting image of Danny DeVito. I'm obviously the Arnold Schwarzenegger character in this.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I don't know which one's worse for me to look like, either Danny DeVito or maybe John Travolta, because before the show turned on, I was texting a friend and that person said, just make sure you're not wearing a black undershirt because then you would look like John Travolta. And I stopped and I read it because I was literally wearing a black undershirt. So I had to go and change. I put the baby blue on. I'm going to rock the baby blue today. And that's where we're at. Hey, everybody in the comments section. What's up, Jeff? What's up, Kenny, Corey, Alicia, Jeremy? You hope you guys are doing well. Listen, today we are talking about the heart, love. And, I got, as you know, Dwayne, I get a lot of inspiration from like some of the people that I talk to and some of the people that I coach. And so I had a female friend of mine who I was working with maybe a couple years ago. She's been dating, hasn't had a whole lot of like success. And anyways, I guess she's dating some guy. And she shot me screenshots of what he had said to her. And he was asking, she had said, I love you to him, but he didn't quite say it back. He said something else in return. It wasn't I love you, but it was something more like, well, I adore you, or it was something
like
nice.
Ghost, like ditto.
Yes, yeah, it was a little nicer than ditto, but it had the sting of ditto.
Yeah.
Like, so I completely understand why she was asking me for my advice, and she says, hey, what do you think? And I said, I think the guy definitely likes you. I don't know if he was necessarily ready for the exchange of those things.
The L word's a big one.
It's a big one, and guys, they don't like to throw that word out there as much. They really, really don't. So I've learned that when guys do say those three magical words, they're usually, not in all cases, but they're usually, pretty genuine about it. But let's be real. Sometimes people reciprocate with those words, I love you, and they don't necessarily mean that I love you.
Oh, out of habit, or they want to get in your pants. I don't have that problem, but maybe you do. I don't know. But yeah, I've never, heard the I love you to get into my pants. So.
It's easy to get in your pants. Food and Voltron. I mean, if you just have gifts and food, I mean, you pretty much just
I'm easy.
You're a laydown. It's basically a laydown, But yeah, she was wondering, does he really love me? And how her question was, how do I know? Like even if he says it, how do I know? And that's been a mystery for a long time.
Yeah. That's like 5 love languages, and people communicate love differently. Like I'm not a big I love you person. Brandy, she likes to hear it. And some of that is she's a woman. I mean, ladies like to hear those words. That's also her love language. I'm a shower. Sorry, my brain just went out in left field already.
Okay.
Um, I show I love you.
A shower, not a grower. Is that what it is? Is that where you're going with it?
You just made this go just so childish.
You started it. I was
never going to go there, but you just really brought it down. Had I been thinking that's why I was giggling. But everyone has like a love language, and although we also make the same mistake of trying to express our love the way we want it received, it doesn't get received by the other person. That was a whole other episode, I'm sure. But it's hard for, I would say, guys, if they're genuine, to say I love you. And especially if they've been through some garbage in their life, it's hard because they've given their heart to somebody, had it trampled, and it's words that don't come easy for a lot of guys and girls. But speaking for the guys, it's a hard thing. And then guys like me, we don't say it all the time. We show. I'm a shower. I show my love.
Yeah, well, just like Jeremy said, we just hope that you are wearing pants. Okay.
Pants are optional on the show.
And check this out. Boom. Don Johnson. Todd says,
"Oh yeah,
I'll take it."
Okay, all right,
I'll take it.
You gotta do the scrunch up. Let's see, get a little 80s there.
Is that how they did it?
Yeah, you gotta do the scrunch, and then you gotta wear the. I guess those are back in style now. The legs, no socks, and then the loafers or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Like
it was the scrunchy thing. That was the big 80s thing. Don Johnson.
I'm just gonna rock a baby blue shirt with the old white jacket and my Fitbit, and that's how I'm rolling today.
There you go.
That's how I'm rolling. But so it's always been kind of a mystery, whenever someone says I love you, and then you wonder if they love you back. Are they genuine? And so what and they or do they truly mean it? And especially for women, right? Whenever like women really have a more difficult time, I think, because I've said this on podcasts before. Men and women, they both lie. Women lie, men lie.
Yeah.
We just lie differently. And what I always say is men lie with their words and women lie with their looks. We know that women know we like beauty, so they'll put on the fake hair and the fake eyelashes and the fake eyeballs and the fake lips and the fake boobs and the bustier. I mean, some women are just downright RoboCops. I mean, they're just all 80% just, Maybelline and God, so. Yeah. But women feel, right? They feel people. They feel frequency. So men will tend to lie with words, and women will tend to lie with looks. So it doesn't surprise me when I get more females asking me about this topic of, hey, does he really mean it when he says this? And they're determining whether or not someone genuinely means it when they say I love you. It can be complex. It's hard to just say yes he does or no that he doesn't, because it depends on various factors, things like including the words, of course, but also actions and the context of your relationship will all determine it. I would say that if you're dating and it's within 1 or 2 months, I don't really know if you can honestly love someone not knowing them for longer than that. I think that's more lust or the love of who you want them to be. And sometimes, as men, we have this picturesque version of this woman that we want, and women have this picturesque version of this man she wants to manifest into her life. Right. And when you find someone who checks off the majority of those boxes, in your mind, you will actually mold them into being the person that you want them to be, when not quite that person. And that's when we start to really ignore red flags that our friends, our family see clearly, but we are in lust. We're like enamored. We're smitten by that person.
We have this image.
Yeah, because of the image. It's the person that we want them to really be, but they may not actually be that person.
Right.
And so we're ignoring red flags that whenever the relationship ends, we look back on it and we go,
was I drunk the entire time? Yeah.
The entire time. I mean, was I drinking wine the entire time? So, there's a lot that goes into saying, hey, yes, this person means it, or no, they don't. And I remember, over the time helping people, there's been a couple stories, I guess. And I've seen it on both ways. I've seen it where a person actually did mean it when they say I love you, and the person wasn't sure if they meant it. And I've seen it where the person said I love you, but really didn't mean it.
I got actually kind of a question, maybe almost a sidebar, is when you say love is an interesting 4-letter word. It's a secondhand emotion. Sorry, quoting the late Tina Turner. But like, what do you mean by, because there's different types of love. There's, I love my children. I love my spouse. I love my bros. I love pizza. Uh-oh.
Jesse loves me. I love you too, Jesse.
There we go. But, and then there's like,
no homo.
Yeah. And there are varying degrees of what love is. Like, like I love my wife, but if she did something that would be on the no list, that would then say that I had to leave her, I would leave her, and she'd go, well, you said you loved me. Well, we have two different definitions of love then.
Yeah.
Because we have things where like we love our kids, but at times out of love, we have to then sometimes walk away from because of drug addiction or, other issues, or spouses. We love them, and, they do things that would make it not make sense to have a relationship. And again, we've romanticized what love is. I mean, love always has to be this high peak. I mean, I'm 51, that worked great back in the, when I was a kid or whatever. But now, love is, we joke about, where I've joked a number of times, love is knowing the signs of a stroke or a heart attack. Love is, my spouse taking care of me, or, me taking care of her. Those, there's different kinds of love. It's not just the physical, oh, she's hot, he's hot, we do our thing and it's all good, or we're best buddies, or whatever that is. I mean, to get right down to it, when you say love, what do you mean? Or when you're talking about this topic, what do you mean by love?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because you're right. When it comes to love, it's very complex. But I often say this, I'm not a fan of the phrase unconditional love, because love is always under conditions.
Yeah.
With the exception of one point, I think that a mother's love for her children is probably the closest to unconditional love that you can find. And I'm not, knocking the dads, but dads will do that. Dad's job is to build good, strong qualities, morals, values, discipline. So sometimes he has to pull back, even when he loves his children very much, to show them the discipline, or let
what
them
is that love.
And it's
I would argue it is.
Yeah,
letting my child fail or go through trials and tribulations is a sign of love, because as a dad, I want to, come pick them up, dust them off, and protect them from every evil in the world. But I know deep down that if they don't learn that lesson now, it's going to be a billion times worse when they get older.
That's 100%, man.
But I get your a mother's love, not to, and you're not, detracting from the father's love, but I guess a mother's love is a good example, for discussionary purposes.
I just think that it's probably the closest to unconditional. And I'm not even saying even that doesn't have its conditions, but
right.
I just don't think there is unconditional love, because most people will tell you that if my spouse cheated on me, I would leave them. Well, that's a condition. So if it was unconditional, then it shouldn't matter, right? So right. I'm not here to split hairs, but pretty much just help people understand what love really means. And to your earlier question, what I think love is, Dwayne? I think that love is paying bills. I think love is giving each other your insulin shot when you're 70. I think love is holding hands and sitting next to your man when he's down and out because he lost his job. I think that love is being there for someone when someone they love dies. I think love is, just going through life's challenges and being there with someone through those things. Love is not the Hallmark Channel,
exactly,
kind of love that we all, grew up thinking that it was. Right. Love is really just being there for people through the hard times, because people want to see your consistency. They want to see, true love is being there during their darkest hours. And right. Sometimes true love is also letting them hit rock bottom and then helping them back up when they are ready to
right.
get themselves back up. Love has many faces, and it just doesn't look like the Disney princess version of what we were taught love was. But I remember a couple stories, and if you guys don't mind, I'll share a couple stories. I'm going to change the names of these stories to protect the people that's in them, just out of respect, because I haven't asked for their permission. But I remember, there was this client of mine, I'm going to call her Sarah. And, she lived in a small town, and she was known for being a very attractive woman. She was known for her beauty, her charm, her warm personality. She had many men in that town that admired her, but amongst them was a man named John, who was particularly in love with her. He was really smitten. And John was a very charismatic, charming individual, but he had this reputation for being a little bit of a playboy. He had a history of engaging in short-lived relationships, and he never seemed to really commit to any woman for far too long. But when he met Sarah, something inside of him changed, and he felt an undeniable connection to Sarah that he had never experienced with any other woman that he's ever dated. And you fast forward a couple months, John found himself completely enamored with her. He couldn't believe that his luck, how lucky he was to find someone so wonderful. And he thought that he finally found the one. And he would tell her that he couldn't stop thinking about her, and every moment away from her felt like an eternity. All the lovely things that women especially want to hear. And I remember there was one night that she shared with me, and she said that they were sitting under the stars, looking at the stars, talking. So romantic.
That's romantical.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, write this down.
And John decided, that it was time for him to finally confess his love to Sarah. Ooh. And here they were. They're sitting on this like park bench or something, and he looks at her, and his heart's racing, and he takes her hand. And he says, "Sarah, I love you more than I've ever loved anyone in my entire life. You mean the world to me," he says, right? So of course
yes, Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy. Oh, I'm sorry.
I do.
Right, I'm sorry.
Whoa. Pump the brakes, Sarah. Pump the brakes. So, Sarah hears this confession of love, and of course, she's simmering. She's in joy. She immediately says, "I love you, John. I love you. You make me so happy." And for a while, everything really seemed like it was going well. They spent their days together. They shared laughter. They're creating beautiful memories together. And John was convinced that he finally changed his ways and found true love through Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
You're waiting for it to go south. Well, don't let me keep you waiting. So, the thing about it, though, is that as the weeks turned into months, John started back with his old habits.
Wow.
They started to resurface. He started staying out late with his friends. He's leaving Sarah waiting. She's worried at home, wondering where he's at. He kind of became distant, a little secretive about his whereabouts. And Sarah, who was still very much in love with him, she kind of began to feel like something wasn't right.
Right.
And one night, she actually decides to confront John about his behavior, and she asks him about, "Hey, look, what's up with all these recent actions you've been doing? You're showing distance here." And John, he felt a little cornered. He hesitated before confessing, but he finally said, "Sarah, I'm sorry, but I can't give you what you deserve. I thought I was in love, but I can't change who I am. I'm just not ready for a commitment." And of course, her heart sank. She realized that John's declaration of love hadn't been as sincere as it was insincere. And although he said the words, "I loved you," he said them without truly meaning it. And he was caught up in the intensity of the moment. He was caught up in that being enamored with someone that's new and
Hallmark
just
Channel,
amazing, right? And what had happened is it left her hurt and heartbroken. She believed that he really loved her, and she believed that he loved her deeply. And in the end, Sarah decided to move on and she's now determined to find someone who can genuinely love and commit to her. John, although he had a momentarily belief in the fact that he loved her, he continued his old ways, and he's still searching for someone, for himself. And so, although the tale is kind of bittersweet, my point is that John's proclamation of love turned out to be empty words, and it was a momentary infatuation that he could not sustain. Sarah, on the other hand, kind of learned the importance of being cautious with matters of the heart, and that true love requires more than just words. It requires a genuine commitment to actions.
Right.
So there's a story where, two people really felt like they were in love, but it was more lust. He loved the idea. He loved how Sarah made him feel, and it made him feel like a better man. And we have all been in situations with women where we find her and we know that this woman makes me feel like I want to conquer the world. She makes me feel like life is worth living. And he felt that way with her, but it was only a moment in time. And as the time went on, his heart just wasn't as genuine. And it's sad.
Do you think though that, it sounds like his history though is he's always been a player, and then he thought he could change, but he couldn't. Is that whole people don't change?
It certainly can be that, but I will tell you this,
Well, it goes into also is that, he said the words, "She makes me feel happy," but that's like the biggest thing that is wrong. People are like, "This person makes me happy." No, you need to be happy with yourself and who you are, and your goals and all that, and then get someone that complements that, provides it.
Yeah. My general rule of thumb, and this is not going to fit one size all, of course.
Yeah.
But everyone who's listening, think about this. When we were 14 years old, from when we were 14 to when we were 15, we were a completely different person. And we were a completely different person when we turned 16. And then it took to about 18 before we turned different. And then after 18, we became a different person maybe at like 21. And then we changed again by 25. And then we change again by 30. My point is that as the years go on, the time that it takes for you to be a different person gets vast.
Right.
You're a different person almost every year when you're younger. But as you get older, it takes a lot more time for you to become different. What's my point? My point is that it's going to be challenging to find true love when you're in your early 20s for a man. Now, for women mature quicker than men. Right. Men don't have a biological clock that says, hey, by 35,
babies
better start spitting out babies. Men
right.
can have babies until they're 75, right? So I think that evolution really allows men the privilege of maturing a little later. But when women are looking for long-term relationships, I would really steer them away from guys in their 20s. Not just because they could completely be a different person, but also because a lot of times those guys cannot afford to have a family because they haven't built a career yet.
Right.
There's just a whole bunch of reasons why the gamble is too risky in their 20s. Right. Start looking at guys in their 30s and especially 40s. So does that mean a 40-year-old man can't change? No, but it pretty much means that he's kind of stuck in his ways, right? If you're 40 years old and you're still a playboy, ladies, just move on by him. Don't take that risk. I mean, what is he doing? Grow up, right? I mean, if you're going to be a playboy, do that when you're in your early 20s as a man. But by the time you're 40, if you're still in that mindset, it would be a high risk for a woman to think that she's going to change him. And ladies, I've said this, I've said this on podcasts before. What's the 4-letter word that gets you guys every single time? HOPE. Hope. Yeah. You hope he's going to change. You hope he's going to come around. You hope he's going to become better. You hope he's going to stop drinking. You hope he's going to be the man and father that you need him to be. Hope has cost you more heartbreak than you guys might be willing to admit. And I'm right. Yeah. So it's all about risks and rewards, of course. But, watch for people's actions more than you listen to their words. Another story that I have is a little bit different, right? So I know a story. I'm going to change the names. I'll call her Emily. I'll call him Alex. But the next story that I have takes place in a city instead. And, Emily used to live in a city, and she's always been really cautious when it comes to matters of the heart. And she had good reason for it also, because in the past, she's been in relationships where she thought the love was mutual, but only to discover that her partner's feelings were insincere. Right. Since then, she's become really skeptical of expressions of love. And she told me one time that there was an afternoon where she met this, charming, charismatic guy, Alex, at a coffee shop, right? And they struck up a conversation. The conversation flowed effortlessly. They shared stories. They shared dreams, laughter. And it wasn't long before they began to start seeing each other on a regular basis. And the relationship deepened over the weeks. And Alex, I'll call him Alex. Alex started to express his affection for Emily more and more. And he told her, I loved you, and would frequently tell her that he loved her. Well, he would shower her with thoughtful gestures, surprise her with flowers, handwritten notes to express his feelings. But despite all that, she could not shake her doubts. She'd been hurt before, and her skepticism lingered, right? So one evening, They sat on a balcony of her apartment, and Alex took Emily's hand and said, "Emily, I love you more than words can express. You're the most important person in my life." And she couldn't help but hesitate. She looks back at him and she says, "Look, Alex, I appreciate your words and your gestures, but I've been in situations before where someone said I loved you without truly meaning it. And I just need time to be sure." So he was taken back, right? Because he generally cared for Emily. I mean, he poured his heart out, and we know how hard that is for guys to do that. And, he felt hurt by Emily's hesitation because he wanted reciprocation, but he understood her past experiences. He understood how that had shaped her too. And he decided to give her the space that she needed to kind of trust her feelings. So over the months, Alex continued to show Emily love, affection, without pushing her to say those words back. And he patiently stood by her side. He proved his love through consistent actions and unwavering support. He never wavered in his commitment to their relationship. And gradually what happened was Emily started to let go of her doubts and insecurities. And she realized that Alex's love was genuine. She started understanding that he had been sincere from the beginning, and it was a slow process of healing and learning to trust again. But she was grateful for his patience and Alex's understanding that he had shown her. And one day they were walking together through a park, and she turned to Alex and said with a smile, "Alex, I love you. Ooh. And I see that all your feelings are real, and I'm so thankful that you're in my life." And, he hugged her, and he knew that their love had overcome doubts and uncertainties. And, Emily's initial skepticism about Alex proved to be wrong. And she learned that sometimes true love can patiently wait for the scars of the past to heal and trust to be rebuilt. So there's been times, guys, where you've had both sides of the spectrum. Well, what's the difference between the two? I think the difference between the two is time.
Yeah.
Time and actions. The first guy said it quickly, but time showed that he wasn't sincere. The second guy, he said it quickly as well, fair, but she sat back and allowed his actions over time to prove that he was actually sincere.
Now, was she a woman of quality?
She is.
Okay. Shocker. She did not have a high body count. She had no
OnlyFans accounts.
Yeah, no OnlyFans accounts. No little crotch goblins running around from various fathers. You said her apartment, so she lived by herself. She had that, responsibility, taking care of her own bills. Those different pieces there, and then he spent time. And I don't want to use the phrase "hard to get" because she wasn't doing it intentionally. But she sounds like she was honest. She communicated to where he understood it, because it sounded like the entire time he was like, "Okay, I get you've been hurt in past relationships. You've this is you're not saying no out of whatever. You're saying, look, I want words and actions. I want to see these. I want to, in order for you to feel comfortable." And then once he proved himself, and not in a negative way, in a positive way, then it was on like Donkey Kong at that point.
If what I say is true, if you guys believe what I say is true, whenever I say that men lie with words, then ladies, let's think about how we can make better wins, right? Don't necessarily lean on his words, but instead lean on his actions. And he, through his actions, he will tell you things that words can never prove. It can, it's just substance will be there. And so what I've done today is I've kind of jotted down some things that people can digest, take in, that will increase the chances of knowing when someone says they love you, do they generally mean it? Let's jump in the comment section before I jump into here. Let's see what people have to say here. So,
and be sure to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff.
I guess my ex. Todd, love has been much more possessive than progressive in building each other. It's more she is mine. Yeah. Avoid situationships. Okay, good one. All right, Stephanie. I am new here. Hey, welcome, Stephanie. Welcome to the show. and she needs new friends. Well, you got 2 right here. Dwayne and I will be your friends. All right. Jeremy. Jeremy always dropping knowledge. I agree. Your happiness is your own responsibility. What's up, Joe? You're back, dude. Where's Joe been?
He's been dancing around. He's down here in my neck of the woods, and he's been keeping the political and judicial areas at bay, and keeping exposing and talking and sharing information to everybody, and being a very active part of the community. So
when Joe says he loves the Big Show podcast, I don't know if I believe Joe, because he's always busy. He's probably cheating on us with other podcasts. Let's just wait and see Joe's actions before we believe. Yeah.
We see him here every weekend, and we'll know he's telling the truth.
Exactly. But one of the ways, guys, let's dive into how we can figure out whether or not these people are genuine. And one of the best ways to figure out whether or not someone is genuine when they say they love you is that they will always make time for you. They'll make time for you. And because, to Joe's point, right? People are busy. We're all really, really busy, but no matter how busy people may be, they make sure that they don't neglect you and the relationship that you guys are in. Right. They make plans. They take you out on date nights. They come up with spontaneous ideas where they can be alone with you.
They build 12-foot skeletons for their spouses while they're out.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Where are you? How are you? Where are you going to store a 12-foot skeleton?
Oh, that's the beauty part, where it's not going to get stored ever. God, my wife is nutty. Just for the viewers out there, that is a skeleton there. That's my wife. There's little Brandy there, barely comes up beyond the femur. I don't know. I don't do bones, but anyway, now there's all these Facebook groups and pages dedicated to decorating them all year long. So they'll have Christmas. They'll have Valentine's Day, St. Patty's Day, and they dress these skeletons up for that. But yeah, and that's just one of those, surprised her with that. And then while she was out of town at a thing, I went ahead and put that together for her. Yeah, that's true love.
That's true love.
And those little, the big things, the little things. Sorry, I got off. I thought about the whole skeleton thing, and I'm like, that's true love, because I mentioned, Brina, she says I love you a lot. I don't say it that often. It is hard for me to break that mold because I'm old, but I don't say it enough. I do say it often, but just currently not enough. But I do it through actions, for everyone out there that cares, the dryer is 100% fixed.
All right.
We don't have to hear anyone jumping on the podcast talking about a loud dryer noise. That was fixed. But how I show love is I fix things. I make her life easier. I take the brunt of issues, or I shoulder responsibilities to free her up to do whatever she wants to. And that's one of my ways, acts of service. That's one of the ways I show love to her, and put together 12-foot skeletons.
Did you need a ladder for that?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. It's 12 foot. Yeah, I'm 5'11" on a. No, my bones have shrunk. I'm like 5'10" on a good day anymore.
So you're 5'10". That means on your dating profile you're 6 foot. Got it.
6'5". 6'5". I'm what am I? I'm physically active.
Yes.
Let's see.
Loves puppies.
Loves puppies.
Yeah. Donate your time to the shelter.
Yeah, all those lies and all that BS and stuff. But yeah, showing your partner. I don't know. I had so many, as you were kind of talking through some things, I thought about all this different stuff. So think about the way it was back in the 50s and 60s and earlier. The guys were like 5 to 10 years older. I remember watching older TV shows. Of course, I'm older and then older, so a lot of the younger folk are like, what are you talking about? But the older shows always had an older man and a younger woman. I think Leave It to Beaver. Yeah. I assume everyone knows that one. Ward, no relation, was older than June. I can't remember her name now. But that's the way it was, because the man had to go out there, conquer the world. Yeah. And then he met his wife, and then they got, married and then had kids, and life was good.
Yeah.
You know, now when men and women marry younger, and I'm living proof of that. When I married young, you're growing in different directions, and there's volatility there. So it's a recipe for disaster because men, you're right, men don't mature in that area. Again, generalities until later. They're out there sowing the wild oats and doing this and wanting to party and have fun. And girls, well, and I almost hate to say it because when you look at all the data, it doesn't show that they're more responsible. So there's, I mean, but that I think it's as time has gone on, it's kind of gotten goofy. But what's wrong with having the guy go out, conquer everything, and then have and then meet his younger 5 years or whatever younger spouse and carry on. I know with divorce courts and the way custody is, it doesn't make sense to get married 99% of the time anyway. But what's wrong with that? Having that happen.
And think of it this way also: if you're a man and you don't have much to offer a woman, like you don't have your own place, you don't have your own money, you don't have your own car, or you're just not in the situation in your life where financially you could even really date. Well, if women are hypergamous, and we know them to be, then what is going to be the only tactic that men of that age uses on women to get them attracted to them? Chivalry. That's what they're going to use. They're going to lie and express the words of adoration. They're going to talk, they're going to hit you in your feels because they have nothing else to offer you. So of course they're going to try to use manipulation of the heart to
black and white photo on Tinder. I mean, worked for me.
A pattern disrupt,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I call it what it is, but men still thought of as the breadwinner, and women are hypergamous. There's no denying that. It's in the DNA, and they're going to monkey branch if they're not getting those needs met. So men have to have an empire at least started. And you just go to the guys. If you don't have like your own place or you don't have your stuff together, why are you trying to create something with somebody else? Get your crap together. And get it all figured out. Get happy. Get it solid in your own place. I mean, on the intro to the show is find your frame or get in your frame. Get in your frame. That's what that means. It's not a clever slogan. Get in your freaking frame, meaning confidence. You got your world together, not dependent on somebody else. And then you find a woman that complements you, what you already have. That's the way it's supposed to be. Anything else, you end up messing it up.
So some of the other things that you would want to kind of pay attention to make sure that the person that's telling you that they love you is genuine or what their words are genuine is really look for consistency as well. Pay attention to whether or not their words and actions align over time. Just like the stories, right? How the two stories. So see if they're consistent. Someone who loves you will consistently show affection, care, support. Not just in moments of convenience whenever they want something from you.
Right.
So look for the consistency. Another way is that you trust them. Your trust is one way for you to know if they're genuine. Time and time again, this person has proved to you that they can be trusted with anything that you give them. Tasks, secrets, whatever the case may be. Whether it's a small chore that you need done, or a deep, dark secret that you want to have kept, they always show you that they're trustworthy. Another one that you can tell whether or not they're genuine is that their actions speak louder than the words they say. That's a big one. Love is often demonstrated through actions like spending quality time together, being there during difficult times in your life, like we talked about when we said, hey, what is true love? It's being there, taking you to the doctors and being there for you at your lowest point. So their actions have to align. So if they're there for you during difficult times, if they're making sacrifices for each other, like look for concrete ways in which they show their love just beyond the words of saying it. And another way too is, and women are much better at this than men, is make sure that you guys have this emotional connection. Women have a very good emotional intelligence, so they can kind of You know, they can feel whether or not that man loves them sometimes. Gauge the depth of your emotional connection with the person that you're with. Do they listen to you? Are they supportive of your goals and of your dreams? Do they make an effort to understand and emphasize with your feelings?
Yeah.
And also too, a big one also is like consistent affection. Now, this one, ladies, don't weigh too heavy on this one. It's a way of determining, but don't weigh this one too heavy. I would certainly look for actions. Weigh that one way heavier than consistent affection, because men love affection, right? They like to be touchy, kissy. And if a man's not really in love with you and he's just in love with what you can give him, we know what I'm talking about, then there's going to be affection there. So but you guys know the difference between animal affection and true love affection. Look for the constant displays of affection, like hugs and kisses and cuddling, you know, and those things can be like really good indicators of love and of course affection. And another one too is, you know, are they communicating properly? You know, does that person allow you to voice your concerns and they don't just dismiss you? Instead, they listen to you and they communicate their own feelings and thoughts. It's not just one-sided. And more importantly, they do this, and whenever you argue, like if you guys get into like a verbal argument, they're not arguing to win the argument when you disagree, but instead they're trying to resolve the issue by thinking of solutions, offering compromises, apologizing if it's their fault. When they love you, they don't want to lose you. And it's not a game of win or lose whenever someone truly loves you. So if they're really working on ways to try to come up with resolutions instead of another win, haha, I told you, that's another good reason. Open and honest communication is essential in any loving relationship. We all know that. But if they're willing to discuss both the good and the challenging aspects of your relationship and work through issues together, it's an indication of genuine commitment to the relationship. And when you have that indication of genuine commitment, then you have some good, solid ground to have true love build upon it. All right, let's see.
What about when the girls act like she decides to act crazy during the disagreement or conversation? Do you think that's a love builder?
I think it's a detractor, right? Because, you know, guys have to watch their emotions and not get angry and mean and loud. Well, girls have to check themselves also. They can't get too over animated, you know?
I see all these memes and people talking about it like, you know, a woman needs to, or a man needs to be able to handle my crazy, and, you know, I do this and he needs to, and I read that and I'm like, what planet are you from besides Uranus? I would run from that woman.
And I don't think a lot of women understand just how negative that is to a man. When women have a hard time getting men, and they have a hard time keeping men, they, instead of looking within themselves and saying, hey, how can I build myself up? What can I do better? Because the common denominator through the last 5 is me. What they'll do is they'll start pointing fingers and say, there's no good men out there anymore.
Yeah.
And then they'll just say, hey, I need a real man who can handle me. Well, let me just be honest with ladies, okay? You're looking at a real man right here. And there's a lot of good stand-up dudes that are real men. And trust me when I say we have no intentions on handling you. You're not a child.
We're not scared of you. We're not intimidated by you. Oh my God.
Intimidation. There is no intimidation from a masculine man. Nothing intimidates me. Okay. Especially not a uncooperative, boisterous, loud, opinionated woman. It's not that we are intimidated by you. We find you insufferable. So we avoid you. So if you find yourself saying to other people, I need a real man to handle me, understand that one of the things that men look for when choosing women is, does she bring me peace? And if a woman says, I need a real man to handle me, we know right there, this woman is never going to bring me peace. I'm going to have to deal with this BS all the time. Ladies, I'm just saying, okay? I'm just giving you, you know, I love you, okay?
Right.
This is the 34th episode of the Big Show. We ain't new. I love you, okay? I'm being honest with you here. Sometimes my honesty is not going to be well received with people because it hits too close to home. But trust me when I say that I'm being truthful to you. I'm giving you this advice, even if it's hard to hear sometimes, because I want you to win. I want you to find love. I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
If a person that you're with says they love you and you wonder if they love you, another good way of knowing is if they consider you before making big decisions.
What? That's crazy talk.
It is unbelievable to think that, but yeah, if they are considering a job that might relocate them, or if they're considering a major purchase of a home or something major, if they're sharing this with you and before they make the decision, then you know they are thinking about you and their future. Because someone who is serious about you and your relationship will consider you in making life-changing decisions. Before making an important choice, they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you themselves they're going to ask themselves, how will this affect her and I, or him and I? If your partner confides in you and discusses those life-changing decisions, they are definitely committed. They're serious, and they're more likely in love.
Yeah, I go, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. There's that, and you're like, but I sit down, I'm like, hey, Jimmy, I'm thinking about, moving to Seattle, God forbid, but this, and I'm like, what do you think about that? That means I value you. Yep. I value your opinion. I am looking for a future with you. All these things that are built in there. What is the thing that you can say, this person loves me more? I love you, the words, or as an example, that discussion.
100%.
We got to figure out how we're going to be able to retire, for the married folks or the ones that are, serious in their relationships. I got to figure out how I'm going to be able to retire and not eat Alpo. That's a Dave Ramseyism that's been around forever. And I'm spending time talking to you. Hey, we've got to do this, and what do you think about doing this or making? That means I value you, and I love. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't have those conversations. I'd be like, well, you're screwed. I'm going to be doing okay over here. You're on your own.
Yeah, definitely.
It's. I get so worked up on, because people, when they're dating, they're talking about like what their favorite color is or their favorite music band, which is great when you're 12 and 13. But when you get older and want to have an adult relationship, people say they want to have an adult relationship, but then I hear this stuff that they don't talk about, and I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, you need to, when you're initially dating on that first date, you should be I shouldn't even say use the word interview, but you're interviewing them. You're asking them questions that are 3 layered in. It's an innocuous question up top, but you're taking their answers and you're putting those in. You're like, okay, and then that takes you down the path. And then over a period of time, you're seeing if their actions meet their words. Yep. And then also you're looking at if, the girl, in this case, the girl, or if the guy's saying, hey, let's sleep together the first night, or the girl's like, let's sleep together the first night. Is she going to be high value? Is she going to be someone that you want to necessarily look at a long-term relationship with, or marriage material? This old guy would say no. Opinions may differ, but dating, I don't know. I get so worked up on this topic because I see relationships that fail or have all these problems, and I'm like, you're not asking the right questions. You didn't ask the right questions. You're not doing it you're not thinking through these things. You're just like willy-nilly going through life, and it ticks me off because I want the best for people. I would love for everyone to be married to and have a great life and a good partner. I mean, I know it doesn't never sound like, but I'm pro marriage. I'm pro relationship, not the government version of it, but I love to see couples together and happy and enjoying their life. And I see so much wasted potential on both sides. Yeah. Women playing games and doing stupid stuff and chasing the next greatest thing and not, making the best of what they have, and guys doing the same stupid crap back. And it's just so it bugs the hell out of me.
Yeah. I mean, the advice that we're giving is not because we are anti-men or anti-women. I mean, we give it, we're equal opportunity, bust your balls on both sides, right?
Oh yeah.
And we are pro marriage, and the union of the marriage. Maybe not the government get their fingers in the part of that marriage, but the union for sure. Check this out. We got someone all the way from Switzerland.
Switzerland.
So, hello, Michael. Hey, Mike, can I ask you two questions? Number one, what time is it right now in Switzerland? Because I know the time zone must be completely crazy. And number two, does Switzerland own sweet jackets like this?
Oh God. I'm going to take that recording. That's becoming a meme. I'm going to make that a meme.
God.
It's
All
happening.
Right. We got a question. How can I see where this relationship is going if we start dating and we only express our feelings through digital messaging? Is there still hope for us? Okay, interesting.
Good.
So is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. So, Abby, there's a natural progression of dating, okay? And this is the progression that I would recommend. Assuming you started on a dating site, and this is what I would do, okay? You meet someone. The objective is to get them off the dating site and onto your phones.
Right.
Once they're on the phones, you're going to probably continue on to texting. The objective is now to get them on the phone. You need to hear their voice. You need to hear their tonality. Words are easily mistaken. We all know work emails that get taken out of context because Dwayne's probably he's got a whole bunch of them. You know, a lot of communication is going to be nonverbal communication, right? So there's so much that's involved, and there's tonality to conversations. You know, there's a lot that's involved there. You need to be able to feel this guy. Use your best talents, Abby. Use your best talent, and that is your ability as a woman to feel the frequency of the man that's talking to you. And so I would definitely get him on the phone. From the phone, the objective is not to rush to the altar, it's to see him in person.
Right.
And then when you see him in person and you decide, hey, this is a guy that I like, he checks off the boxes, then you want to make sure that you see him again, because everyone's awesome on the first interview, Abby. Okay. You've probably interviewed people yourself, and you probably talked to them on the phone. You like the candidate, you brought him in for a first interview, and then you bring him in for a second and third one, and they are completely different personality than the very first interview. So understand that's a natural progression. If he is only interested in talking over text, there may be a nice feeling that you feel because you have the good morning and good night text that feel good and warm and fuzzy. I get it. But that's not what you're looking for, Abby. You're looking for a relationship, and that is not going to be formed via digital messaging.
Right.
So if he's not willing or able to do those things, then you are pretty much just going to have a pen pal until he or you find someone different. You're going to be wasting your time way more than you're not. That's my advice.
And even with even video chatting, I mean, in the real world, I work with teams all over the world. And we do video chats fairly often. And I've been doing it for a decade now, and there's still things that I miss, as in not I don't get from people. I mean, I get inflections and a lot of those things, but seeing that person in person, there's a lot that you don't get on a video chat, even or through pictures, and especially text, because as you mentioned. Text can be misconstrued, or it's even with the emojis, you can't get the whole thing, or if he misspells a word, like thank you for your I think I'm trying to remember the email I sent to the entire company I worked for. I think it was like, thank you for your something, and it auto corrected to say or I'm sorry for the whatever, and it changed the word to incontinence. So I had the president of this extremely large organization get a hold of me and tell me I made his week. But, yeah, it happens. But yeah, I mean, there should be a progression. And I don't want to say that the man or the girl, the woman, either or, but that they have to fight for you or go through all this stuff. And I know it's counterintuitive, because I mean, today is an instant gratification. If I am not sleeping with you by 3 p.m, I'm going on to something else. Make the swipe left, swipe right. But if you want a long-term relationship and or eventually marriage and all that, that's what needs to be done. You start out not slow for the purpose of slow, but you're talking. Do you have things of interest? Things common interests, and everything progresses there. And then hey, let's get off the dating app And then from there, you progress to phone calls or video chats, and then, hey, let's meet for coffee or whatever you're into. And then it progresses from there naturally. And I know that a lot of people are gonna be like, oh my God, in the world of free love, but don't sleep with each other on the first date. I mean, unless it's electrifying and off the charts and whatever, and I got to eat some crow on it, but it on the first encounter, I mean, it's one of those, what would you think? I know we want to do body positivity and everything's allowed and all that, but and under a lot of circumstances for guys that I guess are worldly or been around, if I know I can sleep with you on the first date, I'm like, well, I know I wasn't the special one if you're looking for that kind of thing. And again, I'm an old guy. I don't do any of this stuff. Other people that are more successful may be like, oh, that's not how that works. This is the way it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We got Steve. He says, hey, just walk away. Take it from us who have explored this road for you. Learn from our mistakes. Steve, I'm sorry you're having a little challenging on the dating market, man. I can understand why you feel that way, though. And Michael from Switzerland, he replied, all right, check it out. So it's about 2 o'clock in the morning there. And no, they don't have these jackets. They actually have nice, classy clothes. What? Michael, what? Burn. What? Come on, man. Dogging me like that. Dating today is more like voluntarily going for an interrogation and asking for the 10th degree in doing so. Yeah, I can see your point, man. And you know what? There's a lot of truth to that, because dating is kind of like an interview. So, what
about the girls that show up and they want to see your bank account? I mean, and I get it. There's so many, for the most, again, I'm coming from a guy's perspective, so I follow that stuff. Is like all the girls show up and they like, I want to see your bank account. Yeah. Like that's all they care about.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because women.
I mean, I know why, but
women get so much attention that they will start to filter their men through just the tippity top of whatever. So they'll only look for guys that are 6 foot or taller because because that's so many attention. Or they're going to start saying, I only want guys who are wealthy. So they think that by going straight for it, they can just go ahead and find that diamond in the rough. But I'm happy that they do that, because it tells me exactly who to walk away from. Exactly who to walk away from.
To bring this all back around for the ladies that are listening, so when you do that, the calculator that we pulled up a long time ago, I think if it was 1% of guys meet the criteria of the 6 figures, 6 foot tall. I can't remember the other one.
Yeah. So we months ago we did a delusional calculator, and what we did was we just factor in how many men in America, which is the second tallest country on the planet, are 6 foot or taller. And there's only 14.5% of men in America are 6 foot or taller. So let's just go ahead and round that up to 15%. Well, only about 10% of men make 6 figures in America. What's 10% of 15? 1.5. And we haven't even factored in race, sex, how good he is in bed, how charming, nice, his fitness levels. We haven't even factored in if he's married or not. Half of those guys are married. What's half of 1.5? 0.75. So if all you did was look for a 6 foot or taller 6-figure guy who wasn't married, you're looking at less than 1% of the guys out there. And you really honestly think that those guys are going to put you in the wife only category when you're asking him to see his bank account right off the rip? Come on. Yeah. Michael says, whenever a woman asks for bank account details, ask her body count and an actual STD check result. She thinks that's indecent. Well, then too bad. So sad. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
Actually, do we want to take a second here? I pulled up the delusional character thing just in case someone's going, oh, Jimmy, you're full of it. You're just doing your whatever. Let's show this thing off here real quick.
So what he's pulling up, guys, he's pulling up the delusional calculator, and what this does is this actually will you click in your statistics, right? So he can't be married, obviously.
Ideally,
he can be any race. He can be Middle Eastern. He can be Asian. He can be white, black. He has to be at least 6 foot tall. He can be any weight. So he can be obese.
I got a shot.
So, and then he has to make at least $100,000 a year. So all we did was we factored in he can't be married. He has to be 6 foot. He has to make $100,000 a year. But this guy could be morbidly obese. He could be a race that you don't want. He may not even like women. He might like dudes. He may be a unfunny, uncharismatic guy. But if just those three things alone, Dwayne, if you could scroll down and show him what it is, the probability of finding that guy is around 0.66 of 1%. So you're a 4 out of 5 on a delusional score of and what are you, a cat enthusiast? Is that what it says? Scroll down a little bit more.
You're a cat enthusiast.
You're a cat enthusiast. Just go ahead and just buy a bunch of litter boxes and boxed wine, because if you're looking for that in a guy, you're looking at somewhere between 0.5 and 0.75 of 1% of the men out there. So there's not a lot of those guys hanging around. So I would recommend, ladies, that you're looking for something other than just height and bank accounts, because guys have a whole lot more to offer than just something that they look. I got lucky when I was tall. I didn't work for my height. I'm lucky. Guys can't help it if they're tall or short. They can't help it. Okay. Look for a guy who has built himself into the kind of man that you admire, that you respect, because interpersonal skills can be developed. And I would weigh those a little heavier. Let's move on and let's talk about respect and trust, because those are some ways that you can find out whether or not I love yous are genuine. Love should always come with, of course, respect and trust. If the person respects your boundaries, if they value your opinions, if they trust you, that's a positive sign that the love is genuine. Also, this is not going to come to any surprise, but how about time and effort? If they're putting both of those into the relationship, someone who loves you will invest the time and energy into maintaining the relationship, even when time and energy is not all that abundant to give, or when it's not easy to give. And to Dwayne's earlier point, and I'll go ahead and say it because I thought it was a great point, is they will also talk about the future. If you've had conversations about long-term goals and your partner's made it clear that they plan on being with you because their long-term goals involve you, then ultimately you both are going to be on the same page and it's headed in the right direction, or at least the same direction, right?
Yeah.
Another thing too, ladies, and this is one where you guys overlook it a lot, so I want you to not overlook this, is that they give as much as they receive. Is it one-sided? Are you the one always texting? Are you the one that's always showing signs of affection or saying words of adoration? A relationship is not going to be one-sided. The effort that you put in needs to be reciprocated. Your partner puts in the same time, the same effort to be with you to ensure the happiness of your relationship. If you do not feel as though you are I don't want you to feel like you're sacrificing yourself or giving more than what you're getting. I guess that's my point. I want it to be reciprocated. And then, of course, having supportive behavior with the other person is important, because if that person loves you, if they say they love you and they really do, they're going to be supportive of your personal growth and well-being. They're going to encourage you to pursue passions. They want you to be the best version of yourself. And Dwayne's pointing behind him. And the reason why he's pointing behind him, Dwayne has, he loves the Voltron. He loves the Transformers. Dwayne would have not have purchased those if it wasn't for Brandy encouraging him to do it, because she understands how much that makes him happy. Dwayne is the kind of guy, Dwayne's not cheap, but he's frugal, and he's not going to take a lot of money and spend it in an area, and that takes from the family that he's trying to provide for. But Brandy is so unselfish that she wants to say, hey, look, $50, $100 here and there is not going to make or break our family. Go buy this if you really want it, because I know it makes you feel good. That supportive behavior shows that Brandy loves Dwayne. Yeah. Another thing too is find a person that makes you feel secure. I want you guys to know where you stand in the relationship and you don't feel insecure. They have to show you that they are happy in the relationship and that they feel lucky to have you. And as a result, you rarely will feel jealous and you'll start to trust them. These are things that
we're not playing phone games, or not like, well, I'm going out with a friend, or none of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Sorry. Had to pipe in there because, I'm going to have to say it's mostly girls. Again, I'm talking from a guy's perspective. They play these little games and to try to make the guy jealous or insecure. If the guy's worth the salt, he's going to just walk away from you. He ain't got time to play that crap.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be doing it anyway. No drama llamas. Don't play the stupid games with them.
Some of the best relationships that whenever I'm talking to people, some of the best relationships that I hear often comes with people saying it just was effortless. It was an easy relationship.
Exactly. That's what Brandy and I have. I mean, I can keep making this a big testament to Brandy and mine's relationship. I mean, I've been married 2.5 times, and I've had, failed, and I've seen the other side of it. So what I have with Brandy is awesome because I feel safe. I feel secure. I'm able to, buy my toys. I don't play the games that I see other people doing. She doesn't play those games with me. I mean, we did have some, talking, discussing, and an explanation of how things are going to work because I was secure in who I was. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. If you want to, be with me, we're not going to play the games.
Right.
And she was like, all right, sounds good. And we, it went from there. I see all these other people doing this stupid crap, and it just irks me because you're wasting so much of your God-given energy and talent on that nonsense, and it doesn't get anywhere.
One of the easiest indicators on whether or not the relationship is easy and effortless and genuine is it's so easy that I cannot believe that even myself at times overlooked it. And that is, does the person make you happy? It's just so easy, right? But how many times have all of us just overlooked it because, and then after a while we go, this is harder than I think it should actually have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, how they make you guys feel is always an important thing to observe and note. Yep. If they make you feel safe, to his point, secure, to his point, content and fulfilled, then they're probably doing everything they can to make you happy.
Yeah.
And someone who tries hard to make their partner happy is definitely in love. So if you're wondering where you stand, if you're wondering where he stands or she stands, ask the most obvious question. Am I happy? Do they make me happy? And the last one that I have, and this is one that that we all would teach if we were to be on the teaching side of it. And man, whenever we ignore this one, it usually comes back to sting us. And that's go with your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Trust your intuition. If something feels off or insincere about their expressions of the love, it's important to explore those feelings and have an open conversation with that person. Ultimately, it's essential to remember that love is a complex and multifaceted emotion, and people express it differently, right? It's not always one size fits all. People are different beings. They express things differently. Dwayne expresses his love with acts of service, and Brandy might express hers in different ways. So if your gut is telling you something's off, then sit down and explore those feelings, have open conversations. Assessing whether or not someone truly means it when they say I love you requires time, observation, open communication within the relationship. You can't fake words. I'm sorry, hold on. Let me think about this. You can fake words, but you can't fake a vibration.
Fake words.
Right? Like people can feel it. Words can be like, people can lie, but you can't fake a vibration or frequency. Feel people out whenever you are in the relationship with them. What does your intuition tell you? What does your gut tell you? So those are my tips on trying to figure out whether or not someone truly loves you. And if you were to wrap it all up, it's going to take actions and time. I think that can be summarized by those two things. Dwayne, is there anything you think I missed?
I was going to ask about the balancing on what the love is, because unfortunately I see that today we have this society that if you don't meet my love quota 100% of the time in the exact way I want it, then I'm out of here. And well, with that, Brandy enjoys laughing, and of course I enjoy being a comedian, and that's a good compliment. I mean, if I was funny and she was always serious and just hated that, we probably wouldn't be a good fit, because that's a large part of our personality. Make sure your personalities work together. But back to the love thing, people have this idea, when we talk about love, that it's, you're taking me on vacations all the time, you're buying me expensive things, and you're doing this, and you're laughing. I'm hoping, but that's not what you're talking about when you talk about love.
Right.
People they hear what they want to hear out of a conversation. They'll be like, well, the Big Show said, love, and I didn't know if I love you or not, and this is how and you're like, no, that's not it at all. Contentment is a lot of it. Do you feel at peace when you're with your partner?
Yeah.
It's a contentment. It's a peace. Like you feel for women, do you feel safe and secure in your man's presence? Try not to choke up about it, but do you feel that your man would take a bullet for you? A lot of people say it. I mean, I'm a gun guy. I love guns. And I hear all these big talkers. I do this and I do that. And I've seen people just choke and I'm sure, Jimmy, in your experience, you've probably seen the I'm a this, I'm a that. When the chips are down, they're gone.
That's right.
I've had times, not to get it since it's a public show, that I've had to prove an aspect of that. Actually, I had a situation a while back where someone had an issue. I had my Second Amendment on me, and I was ready to rock and roll. I wasn't going to run, wasn't whatever. I was going to protect my kids were there with me. Women need to have that, because that's something that women want. They want safety and security. You need to understand, if your man, he can say all day long he's going to protect you, he's going to do this. What are his actions? What has led you up to that, to where you can say comfortably, this man is going to take care of me?
Yeah.
And vice versa. You want to know that your woman is going to be with you for forever and not going to leave you. Because again, as we know, I'm hearing now 80% of all marriages, which is again a God-given covenant where a woman pledges to God that apparently she believes in, that she will love her husband till death do you part. So 70, I'll just say 70 because someone's going to argue with me because that data isn't out 100% yet. 70% of all I love yous, for life, turn into no, I didn't mean it.
It's true.
I mean, that's I know I'm the facts data guy. That should be a low-hanging fruit one. 70% of the time, a God-ordained covenant where a woman pledges to her family, to God, that I am going to be with you till death do us part. 70% of the time they lie.
Yeah. Friends, in closing, being in love is one of the scariest but best feelings in the world.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, we all crave to be loved, and we all deserve to be loved. Love is a feeling above all other feelings. When we are old, looking back on our lives, we're not going to remember the jobs we've had, the things that we bought, the money we made. We will remember the places that we've went with the people that we loved. Love is the king of all things. You'll likely visit some wonderful places in this world, but even those places that you visit, they won't matter as much as the people that you were there with. There are some of you out there that will have visited some of the most exotic places on the earth, but you'll still cherish that simple water hole at the edge of town that you used to visit, because it was there that you kissed your future wife for the first time. It was there that you told him or her that you loved them for the first time. You'll remember that special spot on the edge of town that the two of you used to visit, that tree that you and your kids would lay under and talk for hours. Mm-hmm. You see, if you don't have to spend money to fly around the world to visit those kinds of places, they were free to visit. But the people that you shared that time with made those memories powerful enough to play in your mind when you reflect back on the best times of your life. Life is interesting. And one of the best things about life is love, and love is powerful. Love is special. Love is forever. And in the end, it won't matter how many times your heart has been broken, because one day someone will walk into your life and pick up every little piece and put it back together, no matter how broken it may be. Folks, be proud of your heart, because your heart's been played, stabbed, cheated, broken, and burned, but somehow it still works. I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of myself, Jimmy Smith, and my co-host Dwayne, and my sweet new white jacket. We really appreciate you guys tuning in today for today's episode of The Big Show. I hope you guys have a great week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the video. And if you guys feel that it brought you guys some sort of value, or maybe it'll bring someone else that you care about value, please share it with them. We appreciate you guys helping out for the growth of the company and the growth of the business. Guys, we are here every Sunday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until next week, you guys have a great week, and we hope to see you guys soon. Take care.